Joining us now from the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus, Iowa Congresswoman Mariannette Miller-Meeks. Congresswoman, it's great to have you back on. Now, thousands and tens of thousands of families out there lost loved ones from COVID-19 in nursing homes. This sounds like the first feel-good story about that debacle. New Jersey is now the first state to pay out $53 million to settle claims of nursing home COVID deaths. Nearly 120 military veterans died in New Jersey. Will these other states follow? California, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they had this too.
Let me address something you mentioned in your last segment, and then I'll address the nursing home issue in New Jersey. And that is, you mentioned Dr. Fauci now favoring mandates for air travel, but is silent on the border. And when I visited the border in February, I specifically asked about COVID-19 testing, and there is no COVID-19 testing for hundreds of thousands of people coming across our southern border illegally. And so I put forth a bill called the REACT Act requiring every alien to have COVID-19 testing. And so I think the hypocrisy, as you have elucidated just tremendously, that we're not COVID-19 testing anybody that comes across the border, but now we're going to require it for air travel, even though there have not been documented instances. As far as New Jersey, this is a special situation. New Jersey, their governor had required nursing homes to accept COVID-19 positive patients from hospitals. And also email traffic through these Veterans Administration hospitals where the death rate was higher than it was in other residential nursing care facilities had documentation that they were told not to wear gloves or masks or other PPE because they were afraid it would make the nursing home residents nervous, despite the warnings from the CDC that advocated separating nursing home patients and having them isolated from other patients. So I do think that it will follow in other states, as Fox News has been, very loud and vocal on this issue about holding governors accountable for making nursing homes accept COVID-19 positive and infected patients.
But, you see this ad hoc, on the fly kind of cavalier approach to rulemaking, right? And to your point about, no COVID testing at the border, the White House, the DOJ, the Biden Justice Department dropped all of the investigations into the Democrat governors who put back into nursing home the sick COVID patients, killing thousands and thousands of Americans, right? American seniors.
Yes.
So including and also infecting a number of family members as well. It just feels like inequity. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem that it's okay. The White House could just go ahead and do that. I mean, 4 out of 10 COVID deaths are from nursing homes. And so, so when you have these Democrats making those moves, people are rightfully outraged.
Well, and it's interesting because, there's been so much criticism of the Trump administration over the handling of the pandemic, but the Biden administration has been completely incompetent in its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, despite the fact that they came into office with 2 vaccines and a third one that was very rapidly approved. So, they've had a difficult time with their messaging. They've been inconsistent across the board, and they're not wanting to hold Democrat governors accountable for their egregious actions through the pandemic, which putting infected patients back into nursing homes in a closed environment in these northern states was atrocious. And that was against the science and against the CDC guidelines at the time.
And Congresswoman, I mean, there was also gross negligence happening inside those nursing homes because they were seeing slipshod all over the map kind of contradictory guidance coming down on how to do this and what to do. They, many of them didn't know to sequester and keep the sick patients away from the general population. So, they just went ahead in the middle of a pandemic and made all these decisions on the fly, like doing lockdowns, like shutting the local grocers or the shoe repair guy is going to stop the pandemic. I mean, this vanity, this self-moralizing sanctimony from on high, when people down in the little guy on the street has to deal with it, Congresswoman, your final word.
Well, they're self-righteous about and virtue signaling about how good they are. Meanwhile, the rest of us are the ones that have had to sacrifice and suffer through the pandemic. And then let me just say Happy New Year to all of your listeners. And then I want to say a happy 175th anniversary to Iowa. It's the anniversary of statehood tomorrow.
Okay. Wonderful. Congressman Miller-Meeks, thanks for joining us.